would you recommend to buy now? And I've had this conversation a bunch this week. And right now, more than ever, I think there is a benefit of buying because one, you have more options to choose from than you did even just 3 months ago. Two, interest rates this week are actually down. In fact, we just locked one of our clients at 4.35% with just a small buy down, a small concession from the seller. And three, sellers are a little bit easier to work with, and you probably can avoid a lot of multiple offer situations that can really honestly be toxic and unfun in a real estate purchase. So right now, I think you're in a sweet spot. It may not be the case in the next couple of months if they raise interest rates. And if that happens, and interest rates rise, you may not be in the same spot you're going to be in today. But look at the payment. If it makes sense to you, you need to buy something, you feel like it makes sense for your family, then I would recommend you buy for sure.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've been telling my clients is like, look, I don't want to be the typical cliche realtor that says, oh yeah, it's always a great time to buy. It's always a great time to sell, like whatever. I just don't think that's not how I roll. It's not how I do business. So,
Right.
the thing that I've been coming back to is like two things. If it makes sense for your situation, then yes, you should probably buy. If it doesn't make sense for your situation, then maybe just rent. Maybe you're moving in from out of state. You're like, hey, I might only be here 6 months, and I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. Well, then just rent. I don't think that the risk of buying something in that situation is not. It's too high, right? So it makes more sense for you to rent in that situation. And I mean, I'll just tell people straight up when they reach out, like, hey, this is your situation. You might want to look at renting, or you might want to look at buying in this area. So that's kind of one thing, is it totally depends on your situation and what your long-term plan is. The thing that I also think is important is right now, if you're buying a home, the monthly payment makes sense for you. The house makes sense for you. As long as you're planning to hold it for the long term, let's say 3 years plus, you're going to come out okay. Really, Utah, I've done tons of videos on these. Some of them haven't released yet, but I've been doing a ton of videos on these different surveys and articles and reports and studies that are coming out saying, hey, Utah is actually one of the most stable housing markets out there right now. And they're expecting the population to continue to grow. There's a housing shortage. There's all these things pointing to, at the end of the day, real estate prices going up. That's going to happen. So if you buy something and it makes sense, there's a good chance you could refinance, in a year or two when rates come back down. At least I'm saying that because that's my opinion. I think within at least 1 to 3 years, rates will come back down. I think, to kind of the low 4% range. I wish I had a crystal ball to say for sure, but that's kind of just my gut feeling, from where interest rates tend to trend, when inflation's not out of control. So those are kind of the two things that I think. Hey, it depends on your situation. If you're a buyer, depends. If you're a seller, again, depends on that too.